All right, so we're gonna be installing some upgraded upper shock mount bushings here. And we had to remove this seam sealer here because it's not gonna fit. Another issue that you run into a lot of time with these is that this hole here is not big enough for the upgrade. So I'm gonna have to center this up and get this hole to be, I think it's a 1-inch diameter hole, before I can go ahead and properly mark this and get it in place. So I realized that I have this step-up bit that kind of hard to show with one hand, but it is the perfect size for this. So I can go ahead and use my step-up bit and make both sides bigger without it really being too hard. Just for reference, 1.1/8 hole. So that's what you need this to be. So now that you have this hole the right size, you want to get this in line with your wheel well here, and then mark your 4 holes. I put some center punches in it, and then you're going to drill through these with a 1/8 inch hole for a pilot bit, and then I believe it's an 11/32 final drill size, but not 100% sure. Either way, I'll confirm that. All right, now I got my holes cut, and she slides in on both sides. So we're ready to step on to the next step. It is a 11/32 drill bit, just so you know. I had to oval mine out a little bit because I didn't drill perfectly centered, but yeah, take that for what it is. I went ahead and threw some primer on here just to help it not rust. I don't know if it's gonna do much, but it's there. So now we're ready to actually install both of these guys in place. I just wanna show you guys here because there's no good way to show it on the car as I'm doing it. The way that these go together is you set this down over the holes, go, through the car. This comes in from underneath the car and sandwiches between, right? There'd be metal here from the car. Then you want to go ahead and place it. You have this concaved washer here. This goes against the plate. Then you have this that mates up to it, goes on there. And then you have the washer go on and hold everything together. So that's how this is gonna sit inside of the car. So let's go install these. Now that I got these bad boys all screwed in and torqued down, it's 19 foot-pounds is what the nuts that go on the bottom of these have to be torqued down to. So these are nice and in place. It's time to go ahead and put my shock in. When you have the coilover set up, with the factory style bushings, soft bushings, these coilovers use this setup, the Delrin washer that rotates and lets it have access and movement, and then the factory bushing on top. But this goes away with this hard mount. So once you take that off, you want to put this on. So I'm going to put some grease around here, and then you put it through the hole here. This washer goes on, and then you put your nut on. So that's how it's going to be set up. Let me go ahead and throw that in the car. And just like that, it's in. So on to the next thing. It's always just so unsanctimonious when there is no way to put the car down and just drive it and enjoy the thing I just did. But on to the next thing, because it will be good when it's done. I think that pretty much has the rear end wrapped up. As far as all the Swiss cheese underneath here, I think I'm gonna leave it for a later date. I'll probably just clean it up and paint it, just put some primer over it. And then once the car is actually ready for some permanent paint, I'll come back here and mod it up, because I don't know how I'm gonna do the brake lines yet. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the cage. Maybe this whole section of the car gets kind of cut out, but that's not for me to know right now. So with the rear end at a point that I can't really do much more, we're gonna go ahead and start with the front end. What I wanna do is get this rust out of here. I know it's not bad and I've been told I can leave it, but it's bugging the crap out of me. So I'm gonna go ahead and I guess just cut this out and we'll see what we have underneath it. This was caused not really even by road conditions or salt or anything. It's because you have your distributor block here for the brake fluid and it was leaking. Probably for a really long time, and it just drips down, gets rid of all the paint, and yeah. So we'll go ahead and open that up and get it to be better than it was, I think, I hope. Went ahead and cut out pretty much as I wanted to, and I think I need a tetanus shot now. Anyways, a little bit worse than I thought. Kinda, more or less. So, good news is it doesn't look like it's the actual frame rail here. It looks more like it's a sheet metal, which isn't great, but it's not that bad, I guess. I don't know. I'll go ahead and cut out more of this, and we'll see. Yummy. Opened up a little bit more than I thought I would have to. So I went ahead and opened this up a good bit more. You can see it goes kind of back into here a little bit, and it goes up towards the front, towards the sway bar mount. I'm guessing it's just how this was folded over, mixed with the fact that this was leaking the brake fluid, which caused this area to rot out. It's not so bad that I'm rotting all the way through, but I'm a perfectionist for no reason. So even though this car will rarely be driven in the rain, and this car will be kept in a garage its whole life, I'm still gonna go ahead and cut all of this out. But I'm not gonna make all this metal myself. Scott Rod makes a repair kit for this. It's $100. Seems like $100 well spent. Instead of me having to cut each individual piece, it will give me 99%, if not 100% of the metal I'll need for this. There's already bends in it set for the K-member mounting bolts and everything. So just place the order for that. I also got some Osfo, which is a rust neutralizer. I'll go ahead and spray that on anything in front of here and anything behind here that I find with it open. Thankfully, none of this, from what I can see in these little holes here, actually looks rotted at all. It just looks a little bit of surface rust at worst. So once I have that kit, we'll cut everything open because we'll know exactly where it has to go, and we'll get this squared away that way. I just don't want to continue cutting and cut stuff that isn't going to be cut out in the future, and then I have to go ahead and patch it. I'm sure I'll have to patch some random spots because it's not going to cover everything that mine does. It should be a lot closer than it is. So I'll stop playing with rusty metal. So now that we have this here, we can go ahead and start working to get this in. The first step is going to be removing everything that's in the way here. I'm going to have to move the car over because we're going to only really be working on this side of the car, or the driver's side of the car. And then I have to remove the cross member, you know, the struts. I have to remove just everything, that steering shaft. Need to give myself some room. And since I'm doing that, I need to move the car over. That way I have as much room on this driver's side, since that's really what I'm going to be focusing on for God knows how long. Boy, was I wrong. Yeah. So it's been like almost 4 months now since I recorded my last little bit. I've been just working and trying to fix this myself. I made this. It was useless, you know? So kind of just went out of my league, and then I decided to call in some professional help, and now it's done. So, you know, it's one of those things where I tried to fix it myself and it just isn't something that I could do. So we're gonna keep moving forward. I had a, you know, good bit of footage, but it's all kind of useless now unless you want to see me not accomplish anything. I think a better move is to continue with what's next, which is, in this case, rebuilding wheel bearings that are brand new. But yeah, this, you know, it is what it is. I try to do it, which, you know, is a part of the thing. I'm trying to learn what I can and can't do. And I learned I'm not good enough for that yet. And I don't have time to get good enough here every day. So we're gonna go on to stuff I'm more comfortable doing and keep moving forward. Some of you guys may be wondering why we're gonna be rebuilding these, even though they're brand new. The simple answer is this stuff. This is known to be the better wheel bearing grease that you want to put in here. And my wheel bearings, despite being brand new, are pretty shot actually. I know you can't really tell by this, but they have some grittiness and some hard spots. So I'm probably going to bring them to someone else to press them in and out because I don't have a press, but I am going to be rebuilding them with this grease first. number one is going to be to get these guys apart. They're 2-piece bearings. So the race is this whole bearing, and then you got the, I guess, I don't know, the actual bearing part here. So in the middle you got this seam. I'm just going to take this and gently pry apart, and they should just pop out from each other. Now that I got these apart, when one side was still in there and like stuck, I just took this big socket that I had and pretty much hit it down like that. So now that they're apart, you got to get this black clip off here, or this black little piece. Basically, you don't really press it in here too much, so you just start prying them over each one and working your way around a little bit until it finally pops off. And then you have a bunch of little bearings here that are all free, and you want to clean them individually, but I'll show you that when I get there. And the inside of here. Once these are all cleaned up, we're just going to start taking some of this grease, spread it on here, spread some on here, and then spread it on these bearings individually as we start putting them in. Now that these guys are all clean, you can see this little dimple here. It goes up and faces towards you when you set them back in. So I'm going to take some of the grease each one of these, and then you kind of just set it in place. After they're all set in place, you want to take this, you flip it over, and you kind of just press it down, or at least that's how I did it. Just make sure that you aren't caught on any of the edges of these. They kind of have like a little way of sitting in there. Kind of nice. Hard to do with one finger and looking at a camera. Either way, you just set each one in after you grease it, and then plop this down onto it. And just like that, we're done. So I already did both sides, like I already did the other bearing right over there. Now I'm just going to put them back inside of the packaging here, and that way it doesn't get like surface rust, and I'll bring it somewhere to get both of these pressed out and these pressed in. As long as I did that right and kind of lined it up right, which I think I did, then we're golden. There is a little bit more pressure because I probably added in more grease than it used to have, but you know, kind of just part of it, I guess. So I was going to work on replacing these seals next, but the seals that I have are wrong. I think it actually might be the pinion seal, and now I have two for no reason. And I've had them for way too long to actually return them, but whatever. We'll get the right ones eventually and get a puller for these, and then pull these out and put new ones in. Not a big deal. I took the liberty to put these guys in. They're the new axle seals that I got because my old ones were leaking. So now that that's in, I think the next step for me is going to be getting the suspension in the car. Since we're going to be putting the suspension in the car, I have to rebuild the IRS for the back of it. Now, you guys have already seen me do that. If you haven't, go watch my previous videos of me working on the IRS. And since you guys have already seen me do that, I think I'm going to spare the kind of useless footage and just do it off camera. It's Friday, so people are here playing music outside after work and all that stuff. I can't have that inside of my video, and I, don't want to be that guy and tell people to turn it off. Now that this is ready to go in the car, I can go ahead and put everything back together. I got my fluid for this. I got grease for the control arms and everything. I'm going to pre-grease everything. I'll top it off after it's in the car, but we'll just do a time-lapse video of me doing that. Most of it, all of it, I don't know. We'll see how much time I get out of that guy being up there. In this video, we got the rear upper shock mounts done. We installed the rear end again. We did the seals for the differential. We got the differential back into the car, resealed it, got a bunch of stuff done. I know it was kind of all over the place. It's because this video was technically started before the Gen 3 Coyote oil pump gear one was recorded, which wasn't the plan. That video just kind of went all over the place, not on purpose. It kind of deleted itself a bunch, but it is what it is. Oh, we also redid the bearings. We rebuilt those bearings with the new grease. Obviously, I pressed them in off camera because I don't have a press for it, but you know, it's something that was done for the video. So I think there's a good bit of information, and we got a lot of momentum on with the car. So next thing we're going to be doing is right where I'm sitting. I'm hoping to get the front K member in the car. I'm hoping to build the coilovers for the car. I'm hoping to get the control arms in the car. And that way we can get this thing set down in place. One thing worth mentioning, or just knowing in general, is I didn't show you on the rear, and I'm not going to show you in the front how to do the bump steer alignment, because I don't have the tool for it yet, nor am I anywhere close to it. So I'm sure there's other videos, or if you stick around long enough, I will be covering that at some point myself when I, one, learn how to do it, and two, get the tools to do it. Yeah, I'm excited for the next video. And then here's where I cut it, and then I use the same clip for the next video. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me, because I'm stupid. I'm stupid!